Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make warped evolving chords in the style of Jon Hopkins. I'm going for like the vibe you hear in some of his stuff on Singularity, like Emerald Rush, and some tracks like that. I'm gonna have the project file and samples from this video in the description, so make sure to go check that out. And yeah, let's get started. So the first layer that we have here is this one, which sounds like this. So these are basically the first chords here, and these allow me to actually show you kind of the technique that I got to make the like choppy sort of chords. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm using a gate, and what I'm doing is I'm side chaining the chords to this gate, and then I have like a trigger for that, which is basically just kind of, yeah, it's playing. What happens is when you side chain things to a gate, it kind of does like the opposite effect of side chaining something to a compressor. When you side chain something to a compressor, when the input plays, the thing that's being sidechained ducks out. The opposite happens when you use a gate. When you have the input play, that is when the thing that's being sidechained plays as well. So basically, the way that I'm creating this effect is I have these long chords here. You can see, yeah, they're just long, like 2-bar long chords. And then what I'm doing here is this is the trigger. So basically what I've got is I've got this little muted track, and it's got some white noise on it. That's pretty much all I have. And then it's playing this short little. So that's playing the pattern. And then what's happening is this is being sidechained to that with the gate. And there you go, you get the effect. Now, the way you kind of dial it in is just using the threshold here. It's very similar to like with the threshold on a compressor. When you're sidechaining with a compressor, yeah, same thing. Like the threshold is basically the amount of it. So that's how you do that effect, and that's how I believe he did the chords in like Emerald Rush and Neon Pattern Drum and some of these tracks like this that just have these crazy like sort of warping chords like this. I think this is how it's done. So now as far as the sounds going into that go, that's also pretty important. Basically what I have in here, I'll take off all of these effects besides the gate so you can kind of hear what's going on. But basically what I have in here is I have a few different layers. So like I have this layer that you've heard, and then I have this. And then I have some bass layers. And they all have the same gate sidechain thing going on. That's how I'm doing all of these. But yeah, so then for this layer, what I have is first, I just have this little square saw wave combo thing, an analog, and then I have that going into this auto pan. And what I have the auto pan set up for is basically I have it on the noise waveform, and then I have a really fast rate. And what this is doing is this making these chords sound a lot choppier. If I play them without, I'll just turn everything off and show you kind of what's going on here. So this is an effect I've used actually quite a bit on this channel before. But you can hear that it just kind of gives a texture to the chords. It just makes them sound like they're all choppy and kind of cool like that. I like doing this, and it gives them more texture, makes it feel a little bit more organic, and yeah. Then after that, I have this little operator layer, which is just playing some white noise. And I have that going through a bandpass filter. It just kind of gives more depth to the sound. It makes it sound more like dirty, I guess you would say. Like it just kind of gives more vibe to it. So then as far as what I have on the group here, first I have the gate, which is doing the side chain, like I said. Then I have the saturator, which is just giving it a bit of grit, and then kind of using the wave shaper to shape it a little bit. You can hear it, yeah, it's just giving it that sort of like hectic, more textured sound. Then after that, I have OTT. Really nothing too much there. I turn up the high end a lot. You can hear it's just really blowing out, or not like blowing it out, but it's really making that sound compressed, and it's making those little chops sound like very clicky and kind of, I mean, I guess more texture. Like it's just bringing out the texture in the sound. Then after that, I have this echo, which is very fast. You can see I've got the time set like that. It's not a whole lot. I'm just got it on here to kind of give it a bit of dimension and bring it to life a little bit. Then after that, I have an EQ8, which is just boosting some high end. And then finally, I have a reverb to give it a little bit more space, and then a compressor sidechaining into the kick. And then finally, I have another EQ cutting out the low end at the end. So that's the first layer of chords. And then, like I said, every layer after that kind of follows a similar thing. So I've got this one, which is just a square wave. It's an octave up from the other one. And then that's got the sidechain gate on it as well. And then, actually, this one has pretty similar effects to that last one. To be honest with you, the way that I made this one was I was basically just trying to make another layer for it that had a bit more high end. But then I wanted it to be big and stereo. So what I have here that actually does differentiate this one from the other one is I have this Haas Effect. So if you don't know what the Haas Effect is, it's basically splitting your sound into the left and right channel, and then you push one of them slightly forward, like an amount of milliseconds. And then what it does is it creates this big stereo effect because you're hearing the same thing in each ear, but they're slightly delayed. So it just kind of, that's sort of how it works, like with your brain and stuff. So the way I'm doing this here is with an audio effect rack. You can see I got this one. I've got a right chain, which is completely dry, and I got a left ear chain, which has a simple delay on it. And I've got, just a mono delay. The ears are linked. And I've got the time set to 10 milliseconds, and the dry wet is up 100%. So anywhere between 10 and 50 milliseconds is pretty good for this. After that, you'll start to hear it a little bit too much. But yeah, so this layer is just giving it that bigger, kind of like more wide stereo sound. Jon Hopkins tends to have this in his tracks, like wider kind of sounds. Like his sounds, especially when he has chords like this, are very big and layered and built up. So this is just kind of adding to that. And I'll also take this as an opportunity to show you the chords. If I turn this gate off, it's a really simple chord progression. It's just playing this simple, just like an A sharp minor chord, and then it's going down to this F sharp major, and then this chord, and then that. These aren't really that difficult. Basically what I did was I just started with regular chords like this, and then I just changed the voices around. So I took the third and put that up an octave, and then I doubled up the root note an octave down. And then on this last one, I did it a little bit different, I believe. Yeah, so on that one, I put the fifth up an octave. It's just kind of a nice way to make it a little bit different and, just a little bit more unique sounding. So then the next layer we have here is this first bass, which sounds like this. So this is just kind of like the mid-range bass. All we got here is I just have this square wave inside of analog. I've got that going into a notch filter, which, really nothing too much else there. Just a bit of saturation. Then I have the gate doing the gating effect. And then finally, I just have a little bit of reverb for some space, and then a compressor side chaining into the kick. After that, I just have the sub bass, which is really simple as well. So we just got a triangle wave here. Jon Hopkins uses triangle waves a lot for his basses, actually. I've noticed listening to his music. And then after that, I just got a saturator to give it a little bit more like grit and a little bit more texture. And just kind of help glue it to the other bass a little bit better as well and make it sound less like digital and flat. Then after that, I've got the gate doing the gating effect. And then finally, I just have a compressor side chaining this one to the kick. So that's pretty much it for the chords. I'll show you this other stuff that's in here as well. So the next thing that we have, this next layer is just, that's the gate input. But the next layer we have here actually is this little drone, which sounds like this. So this is just to give some depth and kind of like some, I guess you would say like space to the music. It gives it like ear candy. Like it's more, it gives you more than just those chords, which are good, but they don't quite work just on their own. It would be like, like if you had a painting, like if you're painting like, say like a nature scene or something, you're not going to just paint the tree. Even if you paint the best tree in the world, you still have to get like, the surroundings. So you have to get the grass around it or the ground and the sky and like the animals and stuff. Think of this as kind of like the grass or the sky. Like this is sort of adding that extra element to it that it needs, but is more like extra background stuff. So that's all this is. The way I made it, like I said, is it's just playing this one note. It's just playing A sharp. That's the key we're in. And then I have, just two saw waves here. An analog, one's down an octave, and it's detuned a bit. Those are going into a low-pass filter, which has a little bit of an LFO on the frequency, kind of moving it there. And that's pretty much it for inside of analog. I have a little bit of vibrato there. You can see the rate is pretty fast, and I've got about 27% on the amount, so not too much, but just kind of giving it more vibe. Then after that, I've got a bit of echo for some space, as well as a bit of an analog kind of organic texture. Then I've got a bit of reverb for some more space, and this also gives it a bit of texture as well. It makes it sound more like a string sound. Then after that, I just have a compressor side chaining into the kick, and then an EQ8 cutting out the low end. Those are all of like the instruments here. The next thing that I will show you here are the drums, which all together sound like this. These are pretty standard kind of like organic Jon Hopkins style drums. They're pretty simple, to be honest with you. I'll show you the kick first. So the kick was made like this. I have 2 layers. This is what they sound like together. So we have this one, which is sort of like the punch, and then I have this one, which is meant to be more of like a live kick kind of sound over top of it. And then what I've done here is, you can see I've sidechained this to the punchy kick, and then I've also added a bit of a high pass filter just to sort of cut out some of that low end and clean it up and make it not get in the way of the bass or the other kick. Yeah, adding something like this over top is a really good way to give some like texture to your kick. If you listen to the track without it, I feel like the drums feel a lot like more flat and just less organic, but when we add this, it gives it kind of like a more real element. So then the next thing we have here, which I guess I'm grouping into the drums, are these little background noises. I have 2 of them, and they sound like this. So the first one was made with Operator. What I have is I have some white noise going into a bandpass filter to kind of shape the frequency and all that stuff. And then I have an auto pan doing that same kind of like noise, very fast noise waveform thing that you heard in the beginning on those other chords actually. So it's just kind of a nice way to give some texture. The white noise with the bandpass filter is a really nice sound, and then when you add the auto pan to it, I feel like it just gives it like that cool kind of sound. Like, this doesn't have to be white noise. Like, you could imagine this to be a lot of different things. I feel like when you hear this in a track, you wouldn't necessarily think that it's white noise, but just that it's some kind of like nice background noise that has a lot of texture to it. So that's kind of the goal there. Then after that, I just have a compressor side chaining it to the kick. Then on the second one, what I have here is it sounds like this. And so it's just like some vinyl dust or something like that. All I've done on this one is just kind of sidechain it to the kick. So those are those 2 noises. They give some more like vibe and kind of like atmosphere to the track. So then the next thing that we have here is all this little like percussion, which sounds like this. So the first thing from this that I can show you is this hi-hat, which sounds like this on its own. So basically, I just have like this live style hi-hat, I guess. I was going for like a really organic kind of sound. You can see the only real cool, like interesting thing with this, I'll say, other than it just being sort of like a normal hi-hat, is you can see there's this little thing sort of going into it here. So the way I program this is like this. You can see it's on the upbeats, but it's a little bit off. Like, it's kind of like, if I'll show you on the 8th note grid, you can see here's like a proper 8th note. It's right there. So that's just kind of compensating for that little thing going into it. The cool thing about that is, though, is you could never really get this like perfect, like, unless I guess you like measured out the milliseconds or something. But because this is like slightly before the beat, and then this thing is coming in and then it's hitting, you're kind of getting it like a little bit off the beat, which I think is really cool. Like, it's a nice way to kind of introduce some randomness into your track, because yeah, it's just going to be imperfect by virtue of that. Next thing in here is the clap, which sounds like this. So this is just like a simple kind of like organic clap. Not too much to say. I put it a little bit before the beat, so it just kind of plays off that kick a little bit better. And it feels more organic going into it than that. So yeah, pretty straightforward, just kind of like a nice clap. And then the last thing we have here are these 2 little extra percussion sounds, which sound like this. So these are just kind of like some extra percussion sounds I had. I think they were taken from some like field recordings or something. But yeah, I just kind of have these in here. At the end of every 4 bars, they give a bit of punctuation. I've noticed Jon Hopkins is can be very sparse with his percussion like this. Which is good, because like when you have these sort of come in at the end of every 4 bars, what happens is you have this like complex chord pattern thing happening, and then you just get these little extra percussion things that come in and out of the beat, and again, they're just kind of like punctuation, you know, like it's like adding a period or a comma at the end, or a period at the end of your sentence, or a comma in the middle of your sentence. But yeah, it's just a nice way again to like add some extra stuff to the beat every 4 bars. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I just wanted to show you guys some techniques, and hopefully you enjoyed. Like I said, also I wanted to sort of demystify some of these techniques as well and show you that it may not always be like that it's super difficult to do them. It just may be kind of difficult to think of them, if that makes any sense. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Make sure to let me know what you think of this video in the comments. And make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. You can get the project file and samples from this video in the description, like I said. Make sure to check that out. Also, you can check out my social media, which is in the description now. Thank you again, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow with another tutorial.